What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Runs on Diesel. And today we are all about the Western Conference here in the Northwest Division with the Portland Trailblazers, the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, the Utah Jazz, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So let's get right into it here. We got the Denver Nuggets here. They went 54-28 last year. And, we all know about Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, who just signed that extension with the Denver Nuggets. We got Paul Millsap, Will Barton, and Mason Plumlee as the key guys that I have that are back this year. They did add Jeremy Grant. They did lose Trey Lyles and Isaiah Thomas. I did love their one and only draft pick, which is Bol out of Oregon in the second round, 44th pick. Bol is got very big upside. We obviously know he's the son of Manute Bol, the late great Manute Bol, who played for the Washington Bullets and the Golden State Warriors in his career at 7'7". His son is 7'3" at the moment. He might grow a little more. We don't know, but Bol I thought was a brilliant selection. And, he is nursing that foot injury. But, they just did the same thing with Michael Porter Jr. from Missouri. And it's like, just like tell them, hey, take your time coming back. Because look at their their lineup. They have great players. Even their I should say their backups, but the bench is looking good too. So Bol and Michael Porter Jr. have all the time in the world to get their strength up and get fully healthy, and then they can start playing basketball with this great team. Bol is a great selection, great shot blocker. Obviously is great around the rim. But in terms of, there's a couple things he's got to work on defensively in terms of reading pick and rolls, being more direct and assertive in the pick and roll situation defensively, whether it's to hedge out properly or to, run back and defend your man and, protect the rim as best as possible. But, he's a great rim protector already. He only played 9 games in Oregon before that foot injury. So, it's unfortunately there's not a tall tale with him with his college career, only playing 9 games. But only time's going to tell how good he's going to be and how NBA ready he is. But I thought that was a sleeper pick by the Denver Nuggets and Bol. But as of this year, in terms of the prediction, I have them at 53-29. I have them right in the same area there. They still have Gary Harris. They have a couple other players there on the bench that are very good. But 53-29 is where I have the Denver Nuggets this season. Up next is the Minnesota Timberwolves, 36-46 last year. We all know about Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, and what's his name? Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague, Andrew Wiggins, and Karl Anthony Towns have been together for a few years now. We obviously know about them acquiring Robert Covington, and that was all part of the Jimmy Butler trade. And then there's Gorgui Dieng as well, who's also been a part of that team for a while as well. So, I did love their first draft pick, Jarrett Culver out of Texas Tech. He led that team, but he was the main priority scorer on that Texas Tech team going into that led them all the way through the national title game. Their defense was outstanding. Unfortunately, they lost to a very good Virginia team. But Jarrett Culver, I thought, was a great pick. And then they also got Jalen Noel out of University of Washington, also another good pick. They did add Jake Layman, believe it or not. I played Jake Layman in high school. They also added on Jordan Bell and Shabazz Napier, who I like from the Brooklyn. They acquired him from the Brooklyn Nets, and he played for the Brooklyn Nets first. Then he went to Miami. Now he's on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I did like that addition with Shabazz Napier. He's a great player out of the University of Connecticut. Can definitely score the ball. He's almost like Kemba Walker's like mini-me because they can score the ball in a multiple number of ways, can pass the ball, can do a lot of things on offense that can help their team out. They did lose Tyus Jones. They lost Derrick Rose to the Detroit Pistons. We know that. Taj Gibson, they lost to the New York Knicks. and Dario Saric as well. So with all that being said, I have Minnesota as around the same. I have them an uptick a little bit in terms of how many wins they got this year. I got them at 40 and 42. They're definitely, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I mean, they'll be in the hunt for a majority of the season, and I think they'll tail off towards the tail end of the season. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. They have a good group of players, a good group of young players that I believe, like Karl-Anthony Towns, we know is going to be a perennial all-star for years to come. I'd love to see Andrew Wiggins get to that as well. To see, I would love to see him become a perennial all-star. He's got the scoring ability and the athleticism to be a perennial all-star. But that's why I got him 40 and 42. Next is the Oklahoma City Thunder. We all know about Russell Westbrook leaving. They went 49 and 33 last year. I have them on the downside. There's Steven Adams. I believe there's Andre Robertson, and there's Dennis Schroeder. Those are the three main guys that they have from last season. We obviously know about them losing Russell Westbrook to the Houston Rockets. They did add Gorgias Alexander, Gallinari. They added Mike Muscala and Chris Paul. Obviously, in that trade with between Oklahoma City and Houston, they got Chris Paul out of that trade. And then, obviously, other than losing Westbrook, they did lose Paul George to the LA Clippers. They did lose Patrick Patterson, Jeremy Grant, and they lost Markieff Morris. So they did lose a few players here. They lost more than what they acquired. I do like some of the players they acquired, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I have them at 40 and 42 this season. I think they'll be around a 500 ball club. And the reason why they'll be a 500 ball club is because of Chris Paul. Chris Paul, a perennial all-star, constantly has multiple seasons of 18 to 20 points, 10 plus assists a game, or close to it. And that's the reason why I think they'll be right around 500. They won't make the playoffs. I believe they won't. So that's why I have them 40 and 42. Next is the Portland Trailblazers, who I have as a sleeper in the Western Conference. We obviously know about Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum. We obviously know about Jusuf Nurkic and Rodney Hood that they got coming off the bench, who's a great scorer out of Duke. They did only have one draft pick, Nasir Little out of the University of North Carolina. They did add Hassan Whiteside, which I think is a huge pickup from the Miami Heat. They added Kent Bazemore from the Hawks, Mario Hezonja from the New York Knicks, Anthony Tolliver out of, I believe it was the Minnesota Timberwolves was the last team he was on. It was either Minnesota Timberwolves or the Detroit Pistons he was last on. And then out of nowhere, they pick up Paul Gasol. I think we all thought Paul Gasol was done with his NBA career, but here he is. He's back and he's ready to go for another season. And they did lose Seth Curry. They did lose Evan Turner. They did lose Al-Farouq Aminu, who was the one guy I thought would be the perfect guy for their starting five. I would have loved to have seen that starting five. You have Lillard and McCollum. Al-Farouq Aminu is your three-man. You could have Whiteside as the four-man and Nurkic as the five. I mean, I thought that would have been a phenomenal starting lineup. That could have been arguably one of the best starting lineups in the league. But they lose Al-Farouq Aminu. They lose Mo Harkless, Jake Layman, obviously. They lose Enes Kanter, who's now with the Boston Celtics, and they lose Myers Leonard as well. But I still have them at 49 and 33 as my prediction for them this year. I still think they're going to be right around 50 wins this year. Will they be the number one seed in the Western Conference? Probably not. It's probably going to be disputed between the Lakers and the Clippers. I'll let you guys know on my predictions on that in a later episode. But 49 and 33 is where I have the Portland Trailblazers. Lillard and C.J. McCollum are the reasons why they got to the Western Conference Finals last year. Unfortunately, they got swept in the Western Conference Finals. I was expecting more out of them, especially when they beat a great Denver team in a 7-game series. You thought it was gonna at least be a 7-game series with this Portland Trailblazer team against Golden State last year, because there's no, like, Kevin Durant didn't even play that whole series, and I was expecting so much more out of them, and it was a letdown that they got swept. But I think they're back, they're ready, they're locked and loaded now with Hassan Whiteside as a rim protector and a great rebounder. I think that they have potential to have another deep postseason run this season. So, like I said, 49-33 is where I have the Portland Trailblazers. And last but not least, in the Northwest Division, we have the Utah Jazz. They went 50-32 last year. We know about Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, and Dante Exum as well. Great overall team. Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year. He's won it twice. Donovan Mitchell's has superstar-like qualities to him, has superstar potential, and could be a perennial all-star. Could jump through the building to dunk on people if he wanted to. We all know about that. They did have 3 draft picks during the summer. They did add Mike Conley, which I thought was a huge addition. I do have him trending upward because of that pickup. They also added Bogdanovich, which I thought was another big pickup. You're talking about someone who could hit the 3 ball, could play pretty good perimeter defense, can get rebounds. They added Ed Davis, they added Emmanuel Mudiay, and they added Jeff Green. Obviously, they did lose one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, Kyle Korver. They lost Jay Crowder, who's a great perimeter defender, can hit the 3 ball. Ricky Rubio. They lost Derek Favors, who has been there for forever and a day. I would have loved to have seen them keep Derek Favors, but unfortunately they had to let him go. Obviously, we all know the business of the NBA always has to deal with salary cap, and that's probably the reason why they had to let Derek Favors go. And then they let go of Raul Neto and Grayson Allen. But all of that being said, like I said, I have them trending upward. They went 50-32 last year. This year, I have them at 51-31, which puts them in the conversation of being the top 4 in the Western Conference. Are they going to win the division? No, probably not, because I have Denver winning. I think Denver's got the best overall team in the Western Conference. But that's all pending on health. That's the biggest thing with sports. Is I can make all these predictions all I want, and if a key player gets hurt, that's where the prediction can sway one way or the other. So, but with all that, that's all I have for you here. Like I said, Jazz 51-31 on this upcoming season. Stay tuned for my next video on the Pacific Division with the Lakers, the Clippers, the Golden State Warriors. Stay tuned for that video. You guys will be a little bit surprised at who's going to win that division, even though it shouldn't be any surprise. But it's going to be closer than you think in that division. But please stay tuned for that video coming up next. Thank you guys so much for your time. Please please smash the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Can't talk right now, unfortunately. My tongue's all tied up. But thank you guys so much for the support. And I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces.